It's January 7th, 2026, and I have now been doing email marketing for the last 2 years for my agency. And in this video, I'm going to break down everything you need to know to be able to do email marketing for your brand yourself. I'm Jake, the co-founder of On Brand Emails, and like I mentioned, I've been doing this for over 2 years now. We've done email marketing for over 100 plus clients across the world in the fitness space, the food space, you name it. So at this point, I'd like to think I could help somebody out who maybe is just starting out. Maybe you just got a new role in an e-commerce brand, or maybe you own a brand yourself. You've been doing email marketing for a while, but you've never took the time to actually sit down, put some effort in, and really learn kind of the do's and don'ts and how to make it perform as good as you possibly can. So I've broken this up into 12 separate videos, which I'm going to break down right now. And yeah, it's not going to be anything fancy. It's not going to be the usual video you might see with crazy pop-ups and edits. I'm going to simply read through everything I put time and effort into writing down. I may look at the camera every now and then, who knows? But everything in here is valuable and worthwhile if you're not an expert yourself. Let's get straight into it. This video is going to be super short and easy because your answer is going to be Klaviyo. You may have done some research already before watching this video, but that's what 9 out of 10 people are going to say. There's very few reasons to use one of the others, just to put it simply. But I'm going to run through some of the main points here and why you should use Klaviyo other than anything else. And we're not a partner of Klaviyo. We're not sponsored by Klaviyo. They just get the best results. So point number 1, Klaviyo is the best all-around ESP for e-commerce. ESP meaning email sending platform. It does everything that the others do at a basic level, but has way more capability as you scale. So why not just start with the platform you'll end up on anyway? A lot of people have a start small, migrate later approach. It's pointless. Most brands will start on MailChimp or OmniSend because it's cheaper in the beginning, but you're ultimately going to hit limits pretty quickly and you're going to have to migrate your list. Migration is painful. You lose data, you have to rebuild flows, and you risk deliverability. So just skip the entire headache. So yeah, migration is a pain. Sometimes we will get clients come on board. They might have 100, 200,000 people on another ESP. Usually we won't work with them, but if there's a massive opportunity there, we'll go through the effort of migrating it ourselves, and it's unbelievably painful and quite risky. What makes Klaviyo worth it? It has the best Shopify integration. It was built specifically for ecom, hence that capability. The segmentation depth you actually need as you grow. It's got really good flow logic and can handle complex paths. So you know your new versus returning customers, your cart value splits, your VIP tiers, etc. It also has SMS built in if you need it, and it has really good reporting tools that highlight everything specifically, especially your revenue, which is the most important one. There is a pricing objection. Klaviyo is a little bit more expensive than the others. And yeah, it's worth it. You're paying for the platform that's going to scale with you. Most brands doing between 50, 500K or bigger, maybe, a 5 million a month, 10 million a month. They don't complain about Klaviyo's pricing because it's making them money. This is just a mindset thing that I've noticed over speaking with hundreds of brands. The brand owners who are worried about spending an extra $500 to $1,000 on their Klaviyo subscription will more than likely never scale in the first place, because if that's your biggest worry, you don't really want to scale that bad. And yeah, when you shouldn't use Klaviyo, pretty much never. I can't think of a scenario for an e-commerce brand where you wouldn't want to use Klaviyo. Yes, maybe if you're a service, business or B2B, but even then, it's probably not worth your while. To kind of end things off, this video could be shorter. It could have been just a one-word answer. But yeah, don't overthink it. Go with Klaviyo. You'll be fine. It's the best one, and you're going to have to switch to it eventually, even if you don't use it already. I'm going to be showing you how to make sure your emails are going into people's inboxes and not the spam, why your deliverability is so important, and how to fix it if it's not in the greatest position that it could be in. So why it matters more than you think. It's completely useless sending emails if nobody sees them. That should be very, very straightforward. A lot of brand owners focus on, my subject lines aren't good enough. What about my copy? What about if I put this button here? And all of that stuff is pointless if the person doesn't open the email in the first place, right? This should be priority number 1. That's why here, deliverability is the foundation. Everything else is built on. Without good deliverability, your open rates will be horrible. Your revenue will drop. Your reputation gets worse over time. And then eventually almost nothing reaches the inbox. So how to know if your deliverability is broken? Your open rates will usually be the biggest indicator. if you're sending to warm, engaged lists and you're still only getting consistently under 30% open rates, you're definitely in trouble. Some other red flags are a massive sudden drop in engagement, spam complaints, high bounce rates, and obviously people just simply saying, I didn't get your email. Okay, so good deliverability would be between 35% and 50% on average in most of your open rates. I'd probably even maybe go like, if you're getting like 40% consistently and then some of them get 60, 70, you're in a really good spot. You're getting consistent engagement, low spam complaints, and low bounce rates. So just to give you an example, we actually recently started working with a brand simply because I had signed up to their email marketing list a couple of months prior, and it just came to my mind one day. I think I might have seen them on Instagram, and I was like, I'm going to go check, what I've gotten from them. I always take a look at people's brands, and they weren't there. So I went to my spam folder, and there they were. I took a screenshot, sent it to the owner, jumped on a call, explained everything to him, and he was like, okay, that's actually really good. I didn't know that was happening. And you'd be surprised. Like, this brand in particular was doing $250K a month, which is a good sized brand. And they had no idea their emails were going to spam. Obviously, we've changed that since, and they're doing a lot better, but really important that you make sure of this. Why your deliverability might break in the first place. Okay, you're sending to unengaged people. You're just not sending correctly. You're sending to people constantly who have a track record of not opening your emails. So ultimately, it's going to bring your open rates down. The longer your open rates are down, the more likely you are to get flagged by Google or someone for having a bad sending reputation. You don't warm up your list properly. If you start sending high volume immediately, it looks suspicious. This happens, let's say, for instance, if you have a new domain or you just migrated from another platform, you will have a brand new reputation, but you might send 10,000 emails in one day. You're going to kill your reputation. Now, if you have old unengaged subscribers, buying email lists, or you have invalid email address, that's obviously going to have a massive impact. And if you're sending too many emails too fast, so you're ramping up your volume too quickly, you're sending daily or multiple times a day all the time, you're just over emailing people and they just mark you as spam. They get annoyed, and trust me, people do that. People can be pretty peed off when it comes to that kind of thing. So number 5 is that you would just have spam triggers in your content. So if you have like 50 links or lots of spammy language, this can be another factor. It's not that important. Like I mentioned here, it does matter way less than engagement and the ones above it. Okay, so if you're starting fresh, let's just say, for example, you just have a new domain, you're migrating to Klaviyo from somewhere else, or you haven't sent in a couple of years, which we find as well can be common, or your deliverability has tanked. This is exactly how you're going to fix it. This is the warming process that we would do with any new brand or client that we start working with. So for the first week, you want to send to really small lists, like people who are 7-day engaged. So these are people who've opened an email, clicked an email, and been on your site in the last 7 days. These people are really new, they're really engaged. The likelihood is that they're going to open your email. You want to send it to a small group, 500 to 1,000. Now, this is another key. It has to be plain text. It can't be designed on Figma. It can't have any images. I would also do no links at all for the first week. It's literally just a message. Sometimes what we'll do that's worked really well in the past is we'll actually run a giveaway. We will send a plain text email to a really small group of engaged people. We'll say, hey guys, we're running a giveaway. To enter the giveaway, just reply to this email saying yes or saying entry. This way you're showing Google or whoever it may be, like, okay, this person is sending emails and actually getting replies. Replies are massive for increasing your reputation. And then week 2, you just slowly ramp everything up, guys. It's really straightforward. You want to increase to maybe 14-day engage, a little bit more people. Then you increase on week 3 to a broader group, cast a wider net. Week 4 is the same. You just widen it a little bit further. Maybe it's 60-day engage. You gradually keep increasing. Now, this is like a really slow, safe method. Realistically, by week 2, week 3, like if you're getting really good, consistent open rates, you can kind of start firing again. But again, the goal here is to let inbox providers see consistent positive engagement before you go big. Okay. Now, the don'ts really quickly are: don't send to your whole list in one day. Don't send to unengaged people, or use massive heavy images or like loads of links and stuff like that. Okay. How to fix your deliverability when it's already broken. Okay. If your deliverability has tanked, all of a sudden your open rates are below 30%, emails are going to spam, immediately stop sending to everyone. And again, it's pretty much the same thing. Only send to your warmest list for 2 or 3 weeks. Send plain text emails, focus on engagement. Like I said, you may do a giveaway, whatever, reply to this email. People will start replying, and that will really, really help. And you want to gradually expand again. Now, maintaining good deliverability going forward once you've recovered your health is really important. Now, whenever you're sending emails in the future, you always want to add in some engaged lists in there. It could be 180-day engaged, could be 90, just to make sure you are kind of getting a banker of people who will definitely open, just so you can be pretty confident that you'll get a good open rate each time. Also, excluding unengaged people is another important one that I've found over time a lot of brand owners don't do. In Klaviyo, you can group together the people who haven't opened or clicked or been active on your site in a year, 2 years, and you can actually flag them. You can either suppress them or you can just take them out of every single email. You want to clean your list regularly. You want to set up a sunset flow for people who haven't engaged in 90 to 180 days. Basically, what that is when someone reaches that point which you've chosen, let's say it's 180 days and they haven't engaged in anything, Klaviyo will flag them and automatically enter them into a sunset flow. The goal of a sunset flow is to basically throw the kitchen sink at this customer. Do anything at all that you can to re-engage them, to get them to open, to get them to click, to get them to purchase. And if by the end of this sunset flow they still haven't taken any of the bait, it'll just suppress them, which it should. Okay, don't over email your audience. You need to find the right cadence, monitor your unsubscribe rates, so on and so forth. We, on average, would do around 3 sends per week with campaigns for brands, some 4, some 5. But again, it is dependent on your brand. Yeah, you need to make it easy to unsubscribe. Put it at the footer. Obviously, don't be asking people to unsubscribe, but don't make it impossible either. And yeah, number 5 is a key one. Just monitor everything. Check your open rates weekly, your spam complaints, bounce rates, and you should be good. So yeah, unengaged, the engaged versus unengaged split. Okay, this is critical. Most of your email revenue comes from your engaged subscribers. Okay, so engaged could be 30 days, 40% of your list, but it'll do 80% of your revenue. 60% of your list could be unengaged and they'll do 20% of your revenue. So by only sending to engaged, you protect deliverability, you maintain high open rates, and you actually make more money. But it's still important to not send to your unengaged because there is still revenue in that list. You know, if you've got a good marketing team, a good email marketing team, or you're quite good at it yourself, you need to be confident enough in the fact that you can send to these people and get that purchase. Okay. And yeah, at the end of all of this, you need to cut the dead weight. Okay. Once you figure out who's not worth paying for, who's completely dead inside your account, you get rid of them. You focus on your 7, 14, 30, 60, 90, 180 day engaged. And then you can obviously micro segment from there if you want to get a bit more advanced with it. But this is like the key basics to just email marketing. And down the bottom I have here, deliverability is boring, but it is the difference between your emails working and being invisible. Sending to engage people only, warm your list properly. If things break, rebuild slowly. Okay, you have to get this right. Everything else will become so much easier. I'm going to walk you through your Klaviyo account setup structure, and I'm also going to go through lists versus segments and what they actually do. Okay, the first part here is just going to be explaining the difference between lists and segments. Lists are static entry points. People are added manually or via a single trigger. Sign up form, upload, or integration. They don't auto update unless somebody is explicitly added again. These are the best for your flows. All of your flows are likely going to trigger from a list. Not all of them, but a lot of them, like your welcome flow, your post-purchase flow, for example. Segments are very different. They have dynamic rules. So people will auto enter and auto exit based on behavior, properties, or time. These are best for targeting, analysis, and campaigns. So you could just say person has placed order equals once, overall time. So if somebody has never purchased, but then they purchase, they'll enter that list. If they purchase again for a second time, they will leave that list. The rule of thumb, again, is flows trigger from lists, campaigns send to segments. So the essential segments that every brand needs. The core segments are always going to be your engaged segments. So you'll do 7-day engaged, 14, 30, 60, 90, and 180. An engaged segment is anybody who's opened, clicked an email in that amount of time, or been active on the website, or anything like that. Okay, these matter the most because most of your campaign revenue comes from engaged subscribers. Sending to unengaged people too often can kill your reputation, and it's not going to bring in that much revenue. Then you've got your life cycle segment. So you've got your first-time buyers, people who've purchased once but haven't purchased again. These are critical for second purchase pushes and huge LTV leverage. So you're going to make more profit off of these people if they buy again. So you really incentivize to get them in for that second purchase. Another life cycle segment is your repeat customers. So these people have ordered 2 or more times. They're your most profitable audience, and they get VIP treatment, early access, and softer promotions because at this point they likely actually want to purchase for the product itself and not just for some acquisition offer that you have running. Then you've got your high LTV and your VIP customers. These people can be based on revenue or predictive LTV. So maybe, person has spent over X amount over X period of time, or maybe just overall time. You can use these people for exclusives, retention, loyalty. You can even use these people for getting information. You can genuinely send some of your VIP, high LTV customers questions about maybe what should you launch next, what did they think about your last drop, etc. This is really important. So then you have your intent-based segments. These are super important. We call these the money makers. So some examples of these would be someone who's viewed a product but haven't purchased in the last 7 to 14 days. Okay, this person's really high intent. They're looking at your website. They're clicking into products. They're viewing products that they like. They just need incentives or reminders, or maybe just that one final nudge. Then you have people who've added to cart or checkout but haven't purchased. These are your warmest non-buyer traffic outside of your flows. These are really, really important. Like people who abandon a cart are going to enter a flow, but if it's been over X amount of days, they may have left that flow. You can still use this and still target these people. Then you've got your browsed category or collection. These are used for hyper-relevant campaigns when product catalogs are large. So if you're a clothing brand and you've got a specific tracksuit bottoms, you can actually create a segment based off of people who viewed that specific product, and you can run campaigns to them with the specific product inside, which does really, really well. Then you've got your churn and your reactivation segments. So you've got your at-risk customers. They purchased before, but not in the last 60 to 90 days. So a really interesting figure in the e-com space. So yeah, your churn and your reactivation segments. So you've got your at-risk customers, people who've purchased before, but they haven't in the last 60 to 90 days. So a really important statistic in the e-commerce space is that once someone purchases, if they don't purchase within 90 days after that, so in that 90-day window, if they go beyond that, there's a 70% chance they'll never come back again. So that 90-day window is crucial. That's why in this segment, you're looking at people who are between 60 and 90. So they're right at the point of no return. And you need to use these people to try and win them back before it's too late. Then you've got your lapsed customers. So longer inactivity window. You can consider these people almost lost. You're going to, message these people with unbelievable urgency, plus give them a reason to return. Now you've got your flow health and your exclusions. So you're going to have suppressed unengaged lists for 90 to 180 days. You can exclude these people from campaigns to protect your reputation. You also have flow participants, which is recent. You're going to add this in so that you avoid overlapping or over messaging. So if you're sending a campaign or building a new flow, whatever, you can put in, this list to avoid sending to someone who's currently in like 1 or 2 more flows and getting lots of emails. Then you've got your advanced segments. Okay, you've got predictive, so likely to buy soon. Klaviyo predictive analytics, insane ROI when used correctly. You've got discount buyers versus full price buyers. You can control your margin leakage here, which is super important. And you've got product affinity segments, repeat buyers of the same SKU/category. Okay, so these kind of give you really good predictability, and they're super useful when used correctly. So profile properties worth tracking. You've got your core identity and your life cycle. So customer status is your prospect, first-time buyer, repeat, VIP, first purchase, last purchase, total orders, total revenue, AOV, and predicted LTV if you can do that. Then you've got your behavior and intent. When someone last viewed a product, when they last viewed a specific category, when they last added to their cart, and the last time that they initiated a checkout. All of these, behaviors are really important to know. Nextly, you have your acquisition and context. Okay, so you want to know where they came from. Did they come from your pop-up, the footer, a quiz, a landing page, their UTM source, the region, country, language, currency. All these things are really important when you're sending emails. Then you've got preferences, only if you've set them up. So preferred category, SMS opt-in, email frequency preference, etc. The general rule of thumb here is if it doesn't change segmentation, personalization, or reporting, there's no point in tracking it. Okay, so finally, I'm going to show you what a clean Klaviyo account would look like to me. So you'd have clear lifecycle segmentation. You would have no overlapping or duplicate flows. You're going to have engaged only campaign sending. You're going to have suppression segments that are actively used. Consistent naming across everything is another important one. Like people build out Klaviyo accounts across years. Things get lost. People don't name stuff correctly. So make sure you're naming everything that you're doing. You'd have your flows doing around 50 to 60% of your revenue, again, from email. But again, this can change. We've got some clients that are very niche that do 90% of their revenue from campaigns and 10% from flows. So this may not exactly be you, and this isn't always correct, but this is kind of generalizing. And lastly, you're going to use your campaigns strategically and not reactively. So some brands will maybe have a bad month, and they're going to then decide to double their campaign sends. They might run an offer, so on and so forth. It's never really what you want to do. So this is the infrastructure. Set it up right for the first time. You'll never have to rebuild it. Without doubt, the most overlooked thing in e-commerce that can drive massive revenue is your email pop-up, aka your list growth. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the strategies that we use with clients to make sure that their email pop-up converts above 15% and they get as many people into their email list as possible and ultimately make the most revenue possible. And yeah, I'm going to be breaking down exactly what works and what doesn't. So number one, I'm going to go through the triggers that work. We usually just keep it bit. Like a lot of the stuff you will see, guys, in these videos is just going to be pretty basic because, again, hence why it's just me scrolling a Google document and speaking to the camera. A lot of this stuff is not rocket science, especially for, the audience I'm building this video for. This is kind of everything you need to get a good foundation. I will be shooting more videos on how to get super advanced, which you would do if you're kind of a top e-com brand where 2-3% difference can make a massive difference in your revenue because you bring in so much traffic, you bring in so much revenue. But for most brands, this will suffice perfectly. So 2 main triggers we would use would be your scroll percentage, usually 30-50%, or a time delay between 5 and 10 seconds. So this is what's going to trigger your pop-up to come up on your website when a new customer enters it. We don't use exit intent as much anymore. It's just become less effective over the last couple of years. So that's your trigger. Part 2 is your offer strategy. Now, it's very important to mention firstly that this is very brand dependent. Okay, the offer you use depends entirely on your AOV, your LTV, and your margins. So high AOV plus low LTV brands, let's say for argument's sake, a bed and mattress company, you need to protect your margin because there's a high chance that a customer won't purchase a second time. So let's say what we would do is sign up to win $1,000 per month. This keeps your margin super, super high while still getting a lot of submissions because people obviously want to enter this type of giveaway. It's still enticing enough to work, but it still saves your margin. Like if your AOV is $800 or $900, you're doing a couple of hundred orders per month, like $1,000 store credit or $500 store credit giveaway is not going to hurt as much as 5 or 10% off of every order would hurt. So that's key. If you've got a low AOV, high LTV brand, let's say, for example, supplements, anything along those lines, you can afford to lose some money and give up some margin on the pop-up because they've got a super high chance of coming back again. That's when you make even more profit, right? Because you gave up a bit of margin to acquire them as a new customer, but now here they are again for a second, third, fourth time. They're a lot more profitable, and you can likely just get them back with an email. For these people, we'll usually just offer 10% free shipping, a small dollar amount off. We may package it in a different way. For example, you have a mystery discount, blah, blah, blah. That works really, really well. So if you know they're likely going to buy 3 or 5 times, giving up 10% on the first order is pretty much nothing. Okay, this is probably the most important part of this video. It's the tool that we actually use for our pop-ups for all of our clients. It's called Klaviyo Learn. It's a third-party software built specifically for email marketing and just optimizing conversion rates and sign-up rates for your email pop-up. On average for us, we average about 16% submission rate across all of our clients, which is like massive. Back when people used to have their pop-up on Klaviyo, 5-6% would have been considered pretty good. So it's much better than a native Klaviyo pop-up in most cases. It has more design flexibility, but one of the really, really important things with Klaviyo Learn as well on here, that's not on here, is it has the capability of running a miniature welcome series on your website that the customer needs to go through to finish off submitting their email. This actually massively boosts your conversion rate on your website because it gives you a chance to help the customer learn a bit more about your brand while staying on the website, which is really, really, really useful. So mobile versus desktop, really short for a reason. It's pretty much the same thing. You're going to have slight visual differences. The mobile pop-up is going to be a little bit smaller. It can trigger faster if you'd like it to. And with the desktop, it can just be more prominent, maybe trigger a little bit slower, but strategy is pretty much exactly the same. So what converts versus what builds quality? And here's the truth. The higher the percentage off, the more submissions you'll get in most cases. Now, we have found in the past that, giving someone 15% and 20%, it doesn't massively increase the submission. So at that point, it's not really worth it. Honestly, if you're doing a percentage, 10% is probably the best to go with, even though it's the most used. There's a reason for that. If you want to do something drastic and kind of stand out for a sale or whatever, 15, 20 is fine. But again, this is heavily brand and product dependent. And this has always been my belief over the last couple of years. If you have good enough flows and strategies with your email and you're working with a good enough team, you can turn anybody into a buyer. So I would always prioritize more traffic over perfect traffic. This is the age-old argument of having double opt-in turned on and so on and so forth to make it more difficult for people to get into your email system. And some people believe that by doing so, you have a better quality of person in your list, meaning that you can get the same revenue or even more revenue from less people. I don't buy into that. I think that if you've got a good enough strategy, good enough team, you can turn anybody into a buyer. Somebody just being on your site in the first place should be enough of an indicator that they're a good enough prospect. So how to A/B test your pop-ups. This is really, really important. You should only ever test one thing at a time. If you test more than that, it's basically pointless. You can't tell what's working and what's not. Some of the high impact variables to test first would be your offer. So a 10% off versus $10 versus free shipping. The second one is your timing. Have the pop-up come up straight away. It's probably not going to work that way, but for example, straight away versus 5 or 10 seconds versus scroll percentage. Your copy, it could be benefit-led versus incentive-led. And your formats could be, modal versus flyout versus embedded. But always start with your offer, not the design. The offer 8 times out of 10 is what will make the difference. So what can kill your list quality? Not testing. If you just set a pop-up and you forget it, you're definitely leaving money on the table. You need to test every month. Small improvements will compound massively. If you can squeeze an extra 2 or 3% out of your email pop-up every year, if you're getting lots of traffic, that's going to make a massive, massive difference, more than you would imagine. So the key takeaways from this video is that pop-ups work. They're still super important, not going anywhere. At the same time, don't overthink it. Pick an offer that makes sense for your brand, whether it be 10% or $5 off or whatever, and just start collecting emails. I'm going to be going over your welcome flow, how many emails ideally it should be, how to figure this out based on your average order value, etc. And then I'm going to actually break down individually what each email should entail, or at least what we do. Now, again, these are going to be specific to your brand. This won't work for everybody, but again, the goal for me with these videos is to make it as simple as possible so that somebody starting for the first time or somebody who's maybe been doing email marketing for a little while will still get some value from it. It's not going to be anything too fancy. I'm just going to go through the doc that I've written and explain it bit by bit. So you can see here in the heading, we usually do 7 to 10 emails for a welcome flow. This might sound like a lot. There's a lot of stuff out there that says, do 3, do 4. It does heavily depend on your brand. So for high AOV products, okay, brands that sell beds, couches, high-end jewelry, naturally they need more nurturing, these customers. Okay, it's a higher price, which means it's going to have more consideration time. Okay, so yeah, people need more information in the decision process. 10 emails makes a lot more sense for a product like this. A lower average order value product, like for example, supplements, $30, $40, whatever, even $100, it's quicker. It's more of an impulse decision. 6, 7 emails is usually good enough here. So yeah, the simple logic is more consideration equals more emails. It's pretty straightforward. Now, the structure. So emails 1 to 3 are your introduction, your immediate value, and your soft offer. So email 1, you want to thank them for signing up. You want to set the expectations, what they're going to get from you. More importantly, the most important thing, you need to deliver your welcome flow offer. If there is one, 9 times out of 10, there will be. So your welcome flow offer is going to be whatever you offer them on the pop-up to actually get their information. 90% of the people who opted in will just have done it for that specific reason. So it's important to give them the discount code or whatever it is straight away. Email 2, you want to give them immediate value, maybe education, how to, social proof. Maybe if you sell a bed and mattress, you can have social proof of why they're so good, or education on your supplements, like what they solve, etc., how long it might take, how you should take them, and that kind of thing. Email 3 is going to be a product or bestseller spotlight. Here's what we're about. Here's what people love, similar kind of stuff. So email 4 is deeper education. And by this point, if somebody hasn't purchased, but they're still opening your welcome flow emails, they are very interested. They're a high intent potential customer, but they likely need a deeper education. So how to use the products, why they work, and you just dive a little bit deeper into that. Email 5, more social proof. You can even link your UGC videos, some of your organic content, drive them onto that platform. This will all help in building trust with the potential customer. And then, show them that other people love your products. More reviews, more everything like that. They're going to love it. So email 6 is objection handling. This one's really important, especially if you have a higher average order value. If you sell a higher ticket product, people are going to want to know about your shipping, returns, quality, FAQs. The best example I would use is if you're buying a car, you're going to want to test drive it, speak to people about the car, your mechanic, so many different things. Whereas if it's just, a chocolate bar, you just buy it instantly. Answer the questions that could be holding them back. 7 to 10. 7 is just a different product angle. Maybe they just didn't resonate with the first one or your bestseller for whatever reason. There will be a group of people that won't. So maybe try a different angle. Again, it's important to remember, by the time you get to 7, 8, 9, 10, these are the stragglers of the group. majority of the people who entered your email list will have purchased already. So you can get a little bit more niche with the last few emails to kind of capture the last audience. So number 8, more social proof. You can't go wrong. Email 9, you can do urgency or scarcity. You can even up your offer. So if your welcome flow offer was 10%, you could offer the people that have gotten this far maybe 15. Same with email 10. Final nudge, we'd love you as a customer, but again, you could just up the incentive a little bit more. So the timing strategy, the first email is immediate, and then they pretty much come one day after the other, apart from maybe 2 or 3 of them. You can kind of leave 2 days in between some, but more than likely, you want to be fast with this. Every day since they've been on your website, their intent is just a little bit lower. So the faster you can be, the better, without being, too bombarding. Okay, so when to start with 3 emails in your welcome flow versus going straight to 7 to 10. My take on this is just, why wait? You might as well start as you mean to go on. Obviously, if you're just launching your brand, maybe start with 3 and come back to it. I've been in this position before. We had an e-commerce brand a couple of years ago. It's unbelievably difficult to do everything at once. You do need to do it in chunks. So if you do want to start with 2 or 3 emails and eventually spin back and improve it, you should. But again, it should be a priority to build your emails out as soon as you possibly can, because it's such a valuable revenue stream for the e-commerce brand. What makes somebody ready to buy in email 3 versus email 8? This is really important, okay? You need to remember that everybody is different. Even though the product is often the same, people have many different reasons to buy. Okay, your job is to compile all the reasons people buy your product, rank them in order of importance, and then use your welcome flow to attack these points one by one. Okay, so some people buy because of price, some people quality, some because of social proof, and some just don't want to miss out, or they feel like it's the trend or the thing to do. Your welcome flow should cover all of these angles, but it's up to you to decide which order they fall in. These are some of the metrics that matter with your welcome flow, okay? Open rates and click rates are super important, but the main metric is always revenue per recipient, or else placed order rate. These are 2 super important metrics that we use to figure out whether a flow is actually doing well or doing bad. So if your RPR is sitting above average after a full month, you're doing super well. Summary of this is basically 3 emails is fine, 7 to 10 is what actually works. Don't overcomplicate the content. Just make sure you're covering all the reasons someone would want to buy. That is the end of this video. It does, leave it a little bit open-ended because again, it's up to you. It's up to your brand. You need to use this framework, but you need to fit all of the ideas and the reasons why people might purchase your product into your welcome flow. And if your welcome flow ends up being 5 emails, 6 emails, don't worry. Don't make it longer when you don't need to as well. That's another key thing. I'm going to be breaking down your abandoned cart flow, why you should segment it for new customers and returning customers, how many emails should be in each path of that flow, and then what's involved in each email individually. Why should you segment an abandoned cart flow by new versus returning customers? This is a conversation I have with brand owners. A lot of people, pose the question, why? But they're completely different people. So returning customers have bought from you before. They trust you. They like your product. They're back again. They've held it. They've felt it. They've slept in it. They've ate it, whatever. They're super different to somebody who's new because they have never purchased. They don't trust you yet. They need more convincing, and they might need some small incentive. The strategy here has to be super different. So for a new customer abandoned cart flow, I would usually do around 5 emails. Why? Because they need more trust before they buy. Okay, so the returning customer is obviously going to be less than 5 emails. We'll do 3 for returning customers, and I'll break those down shortly. So the sequence for me would be email 1, 30 minutes after abandonment, I would send a simple reminder, hey, you left something in your cart. Show the product with no offer yet. You don't always need an offer straight away. Somebody may have genuinely forgotten. They may have just got a call, whatever. Now, most people out there will have their flow set up for 2 hours, an hour and 30 minutes. But honestly, from years of testing, the faster you can be, the better. but you need to be careful with the abandoned cart. That's why we do 30 minutes and not 15. Somebody could easily add something to their cart and continue shopping for 15 minutes, depending on how big a website is, how engaging it is, how many products you have. That is possible. So we like to leave it 30 minutes just to make sure that the person's definitely gone from the website, because it's not ideal if they're still on and they're getting emails. Email 2 would be the next day. You're going to have a reminder. You're going to heavily push the welcome flow offer because they're available for that, because they have never purchased before. Things like you can still use your first time buyer discount, make the incentive super, super clear. So email 2 is just all incentive. Email 3, 48 hours later, you're going to have social proof, reviews from happy customers, and here's what other people are saying. So you can have UGC videos, pictures, reviews. You want to just bombard people with social proof, okay? Because this is a massive, frequently asked question that could be on their mind. Is it worth it? Will I be happy, etc.? Email 4, 72 hours later, you're going to answer more objections that they may have. This is down to you, the owner of the brand. What would a potential customer want to ask me if they could? And then you want to reverse engineer your email based off of that. FAQs, quality shipping returns, and you want to remove any friction possible. Email 5, which is 96 hours later, after your first email, is a final nudge. Okay, urgency, your cart's expiring soon, your offer will run out soon, this is the last chance to use the offer. You can get urgent with these people because, again, they were really high intent. They added something to their cart, they liked it, they just wouldn't click purchase. So that's new customers. For returning customers, like I mentioned, we'll do 3 emails. Why? Because they already trust you and they don't need any hand-holding. So again, 30 minutes after abandonment, hey, you're back again, you left something in your cart, and then a reminder of what they already know and love. So you're reaffirming, that they love the product, they've been here before. I'm just giving you a gentle reminder. 24 hours later, you want to have a little bit of gentle urgency. Hey, are you still thinking about it? Remind them of the previous purchases. Sometimes what we even like to do here for clients is, you might add in, hey, is there something that you'd like to ask? Is there something you're unsure about? You'd be surprised how many replies you get to these kind of emails. Just makes them really personal. A lot of the time we'll do plain text for this kind of thing. It works really, really well. And email 3 is a final reminder. Look, we're going to hate you for you to miss out on this. Maybe a small nudge if really, really necessary, if you've got really good margins on your products. But again, I usually wouldn't do any more incentive for someone who's purchased before. It's kind of at that stage where it's not worth it because you're trying to get as much profit as you can from purchase number 2 onwards. So yeah, the messaging is different, more familiar tone, your back language, and less about convincing, more about reminding and reaffirming. So I'm also going to break down segmenting by cart value. In some cases, yes. So an example from one of our clients, they had multiple offers for new customers based on cart value. So orders over $75 got a free product, between 60 and 75 got free shipping, and below 60 got 10% off. So inside the abandoned cart flow, we actually built 3 different paths. High value carts got the best incentive, not a percentage, but actually a free product or a gift. It makes it feel super premium, but you actually also save the most margin by not giving a percentage. Low value carts, you can give a percentage because, again, it's not a massive margin hit. They're below 60, 10%, $6 max. With this brand, with the margin, that was absolutely fine. So when to start simple versus when to segment. Okay, if you're starting out with a brand or you're starting out with email marketing or even with an agency, okay, you can start with 3 basic emails if you're just launching. Klaviyo themselves have lots of native built-in pre-made flows that work just fine. Okay, but don't stay there is the key. There's no specific threshold where you suddenly switch to segmented flows and price splits and all of this kind of thing. The answer is as soon as you can do it, you should, because it will always perform better. Now, the final part to this video is recovery rate benchmarks. So I'm going to be speaking about your abandoned checkout flow. Okay, it's even higher intent than your cart. It's arguably one of the most important, if not the most important flows that you will build. I'm going to go through some of the differences between cart and checkout, new customers, returning customers, how to split, segment, why you should do it, etc. So it is important that, this stuff is not groundbreaking, but again, It's what's really important. I think it's what could help the most people that could be watching this video, whether you're just started your e-commerce brand, maybe you're a year or two in, maybe you're starting a marketing agency or an email marketing agency. This is basically going to cover the fundamentals, why you do what you why you should do, what I'm suggesting in most cases. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. So cart versus checkout. What's the difference? Abandoned cart is where someone adds a product to their cart. They may have been browsing, comparing, window shopping, but then obviously they abandon that cart, they exit the site. Abandoned checkout is when someone started the payment process. Okay, so they've actually added it to their cart, they've gone to their checkout, they've started entering payment info, started entering shipping details. Okay, they were seconds away from completing the purchase and something stopped them at the last moment. So your job is to figure out what that was and to remove it. That's really, really important. So it's really straightforward. A lot of you guys can probably guess this already, but I'm going to go through why checkout flows convert better than cart. Okay, these people have gone further in the funnel than cart abandoners. It's pretty simple. They've committed to the purchase mentally, started the checkout process, and they've entered personal information. They were really ready to buy. If they didn't, something specific stopped them. It could have been the shipping price that turned them off, payment method issue, could have been trust, concern, distraction. Okay, your emails need to address all of these friction points. So new customer abandoned checkout versus returning customer abandoned checkout. So for a new customer, you're going to have the same segmentation logic as abandoned cart. New customers need trust reinforcement, friction removal, and they need social proof. This sequence is usually between 3 and 4 emails. So email 1, we're going to fire 15 minutes after they abandon. So this is really quick. A lot of people out there will have videos saying they do an hour, 45 minutes, an hour and a half. But again, the faster you are, the better. We've tested this over years, and it is just a fact. Abandoned cart was 30 minutes because, again, you don't want to be too risky. People could be still browsing, but once someone abandons checkout, the likelihood is they're gone pretty quickly. So 15 minutes is good here. Faster triggered in cart. These people are hot. You were so close. Your order is waiting. Show what they're about to get. Email 2, you could do 4 hours later. You want to address their trust concerns. Here's why thousands of customers trust us. Free returns, secure checkout reviews. You can reinstate the welcome flow offer as well as an incentive. All of these things work really, really well. And again, these are 2 emails in pretty quick succession, but it's super important that you're as quick as possible. Email 3 will be 24 hours later. You want to use heavy social proof in this email. Join 10,000 plus happy customers. You can use some of UGC content, organic content, or testimonials. And lastly, email 4, 2 days later, is final urgency push. Your cart expires today, tonight. This is your last chance to get the welcome offer, etc. So the key difference here from cart emails is there's way more urgency because they were literally about to buy. And it's okay. You can be a bit more aggressive with these people. People expect that when they abandon a cart or a checkout anyways. So for a returning customer checkout flow, we'll do 2 to 3 emails, a little bit shorter because these people trust you already. They've bought before. You just need to remind them and push urgency. So what you'll notice, guys, is a lot of this is similar to the abandoned cart, which it's always going to be, but these slight little nuanced differences make a massive, massive difference to the overall revenue that these flows will generate. Okay, so email 1, again, 15 minutes. Use copy like you're almost there. Complete your order. You forgot something, whatever, like they're super close. Email 2, 12 hours later. You don't really want to bombard these people as quickly as 4 hours later, like the new customers, because again, they've bought before. And when someone's bought before, they almost feel like they owe you nothing, which they don't, or you owe them something. So you need to be a bit more relaxed with these people. You don't want to push too hard because they've already given you something in a previous purchase. So you don't want to treat them like you're trying to squeeze every drop out of them. Okay, so I just want to ask them, are they still interested? A gentle reminder. And email 3 will be 36 hours later, last chance, your cart's expiring. These things work great. Some of them sound generic, but again, a lot of this is objective. It just works through trial and error. So again, that's it. Don't overthink it. Now, same as the cart, we're going to go through cart value segmentation at checkout. This can be very, very important. If you get a wide variety of different valued purchases. So it's the same logic as the cart abandonment again. High value checkouts get a better incentive, maybe a free gift or product if they're new, and maybe even some personal outreach. Okay, Slack message, text probably is not applicable, but an email, So low value checkouts will just get standard incentives, percentage off, or free shipping. When to add a personal touch. For every high value checkout, let's say, if your AOV is $100 or $80 and someone's in the $500 plus range, sometimes you could add a plain text email from the founder. Hey, saw you were checking out. Is there anything I can help with? This can be a super simple path on your flow, simple conditional split. If the order value was if the checkout value was over $500, send them down this path. And it can be one or two plain text emails as if the owner actually sent them. Okay, so make it feel like a real person's reaching out, not automation. This can close 5 to 10% of those high value checkouts that would have been lost. So the summary here, guys, to wrap it up is checkout abandonment is your highest converting flow. These people were ready to pay. Your job is to remove whatever stopped them and get them over the line. It's as simple as that. Whatever you need to do for your brand specifically to make that happen is what you should be willing to do, because again, these are the people that you really, really want. So as you can see here in video 8, the next video, I'm going to go over post-purchase flow. This is a massively underrated flow. A lot of e-commerce brand owners forget about the customer once they've purchased. They think that that's it. But really, the real profit starts in the post-purchase flow when you're getting that second, third, fourth order, guys. So make sure to tune in for that one. I'm going to be speaking about the post-purchase flow, or what we like to say, the repeat purchase engine. Okay, I'm going to speak about why you should split people into 3 tiers, what those tiers are, triggers, timing strategy, and key metrics. So make sure you stick around to the end to get all the juice from this video as possible. If you've dabbled a small bit in email marketing yourself, or if you're brand new, it's incredibly deep. It goes super in depth. Every brand is different. So to get a real hold on things and to feel confident enough to speak about it, it does take time. And even still, like the stuff I'm sharing in this video is very basic. It's for the people out there who are new to e-commerce, or maybe you're new to an email marketing agency. That being said, if you've been in e-commerce for 10 years and you think you know it all, there will definitely still be stuff in here that will help you, okay? Because this is the basics. This is like the real good foundations. In 2 or 3 videos time, I'm going to break down some more high-level stuff, but for now, I'm going to focus on post-purchase flow. So to get straight into it, like I mentioned, why split the post-purchase into 3 tiers, okay? Because they're all at completely different stages. The 3 tiers that we would do are first-time buyers, second-time buyers, and VIPs, so 3+ purchases, okay? First-time buyers, they just made their first purchase. They still don't know yet if they will like it. There's a high risk of buyer's remorse, and they need onboarding and education. Okay, second-time buyers, they came back once. They clearly liked it and had a good experience the first time. They just need some gentle nurturing. Your VIPs with 3+ purchases, these people are locked in. Okay, they're loyal. You actually, despite what you may think, you actually want to send these people less emails. Okay, you don't want to annoy them, especially dependent on your product. Let's say, for example, it's a skincare brand. You can become a person's skincare staple. And at that point, you don't really ever need to annoy them, because the second your product runs out, they cannot survive a day without getting it again. Okay, so different stages, there's different strategies. So I'm going to break down first-time buyer post-purchase flow. Okay, we would usually do 6 to 8 emails. This might feel long, but you need it to, make sure these people come back again. Once someone purchases, if they don't purchase within the first 90 days, 70%, there's a 70% chance they'll never come back again. So you want to be super aggressive first 90 days. There's also some campaign strategy and segmentation that we would use to target these people just before they lapse, which I'll go into in a later video. Okay, so the goal with this post-purchase flow is to turn them into a repeat customer. For email 1, you want to immediately send it and just, confirm their order. It can be plain text from the founder. These work really well. Thanks for supporting a small brand. Personal, warm, appreciative, simple. Okay, day 2 or 3, You want to reduce buyer's remorse. Okay, at this point, the product should be on the way. You want to reaffirm their purchase. You made a great choice. Here's why. Here's a lot of reviews. This is why you're going to be so happy you made the right choice, etc. So day 5 to 7, educational content. Okay, let's just say again, for example, it's skincare, how to use and apply the product, care instructions, some tips to get the most out of it, maybe a link to your social media showing the products in use, maybe even some celebrity endorsements or influencer content if related. Okay, this is really, really useful. Email 4, day 10 to 12, some cross-selling. Okay, this is really important as well to get customers back second and third time, but also to make sure that when they come back, you can actually increase their average order value. They may repurchase what they first got, but by you highlighting things like this, since you bought X, you might love Y, they may come back and get not only a moisturizer, but they may get the cleanser as well because they go well together. Okay, so complementary products, not trying to upsell to something bigger, which is quite obvious, but a lateral cross sell. Okay, for example, you bought a camera, sell them a lens, not another camera. Okay. Email 5, between day 14 and 16. This is critical. Never send review emails before they receive the product. It's easy to do this because you can actually have a conditional split in your post-purchase flow that will only trigger this email to activate once the person's got their delivery. Okay, so not super hard to do, but you still want to be conservative with your timing. Send them things like, we'd love to hear what you think. Aim for about a week after delivery. Test the timing here. Quicker is often better, okay, because they're more than likely using the product the second that they get it. 6 is day 20 to 25. This is a replenishment cross-sell, okay? If it's a consumable product and you have obviously reverse engineered how long on average it takes for your product to be used, you can send them a running low email, a time to restock email, or if not consumable, you can just go with another cross-sell angle. Emails 7 to 8 are going to be day 30 plus. Loyalty messaging, become a repeat customer and unlock VIP perks. And you're going to have a soft nurture here, okay? But the second point is really good here, okay? You want to let them know that there's future perks and benefits waiting for them when they become a VIP customer. This is actually really good for getting people to buy into your brand. So that's new customers done. It's also important to mention that, this is day 30 plus, but after this, if they haven't purchased, it's just campaigns, okay, for this specific group of people. Second time buyers is 2 to 3 emails, less than half, almost 1/3 of the new customers. Okay, these people are back. They clearly liked it the first time. The goal here is to build familiarity, remind them you appreciate their return, push them toward VIP status. Okay, the sequence would be email 1, they get it immediately. Welcome back. We're glad you're here again. Confirm their order and just have a more familiar tone. Email 2 on day 7 to 10. Thank them for coming back. Remind them why they bought in the first place. Okay, and once you purchase one more time, you'll unlock VIP status and exclusive perks. Again, you're showing them the same thing as a new customer, except you're acknowledging to them that they're actually one step closer. And they actually know that once they purchase once more, they will be in the VIP list, okay? Now, email 3 is going to be on day 20 to 25. This is optional. There's some brands will do these all really close, in the first 11, 12 days. Some brands, you might do it over 30 days. It's dependent, okay? But you want to cross-sell or nurture here again, and again, just keep them engaged. Don't over-email second timers. They're converted already. A bit more gentle. So, VIPs. 1 to 2 emails. This is simple. They've bought 3+ times. They're loyal. The goal here is to actually not annoy them. It's a very similar strategy to subscription-based brands and offers. What you'll find is if you have a subscription-based offer, you actually want to leave someone alone once they subscribe. If you keep bombarding them, it's going to turn them off eventually. Okay, so they get an email immediately. Thanks for becoming a VIP. Confirm their order, maybe include an exclusive offer or early access to something, or behind the scenes look for the brand. Email 2, again, very optional, but it could be 7 days to 20 days. VIP only content, behind the scenes, exclusive deals, and early product launches. What you actually will want to do as well here for VIPs, which works super, super well. Sometimes for a brand, what we'll do is we'll send a plain text email actually asking for the customer's opinion. Okay, if it's a skincare brand, hey, what would you love to see next? What product? So on and so forth. It makes people feel really involved. So it works really, really well. Okay, so VIPs get fewer emails because you're not trying to convince them. You're not building trust. Don't over email VIPs or you will lose them. They just need reminders. It's as simple as that. So this is a little bit of a technical setup, but it's super simple. What triggers each one? First time buyer, where placed order equals 1. Second time buyer, where placed order equals 2. VIP, placed order where total orders is 3 or more. Okay, set this up as your conditional splits and it'll break the post-purchase paths down into the 3 that you want. The timing strategy. For first-time buyers, it runs over 25 to 30 days. You can spread the emails out to avoid overwhelming them. Second-time buyers, 15, 20 days, a little bit shorter. And VIPs, immediate confirmation with maybe one follow-up 2 weeks later. That's it. Lastly, for this video is your key metrics. Okay, for first-time buyers, second purchase rate within 60 to 90 days. This is the metric that matters most. Like I mentioned, once they buy once, the likelihood is if they go past day 90 without ordering again, 70% chance that they will never come back. So you've got a short 90-day window to hammer these people. Okay, you want to actually create a segment for campaigns. I'm touching on campaigns now in the post-purchase video, but whatever. You want to create a segment in your campaigns to specifically filter those people. So the logic here is pretty simple. You want people who have purchased at least once. Their last purchase was between 60 and 90 days ago, and they haven't purchased again since. Okay, so this is going to give you a list of people who have purchased in the last 60 to 90 days, but they haven't purchased since, so they are on the verge of going beyond that 90-day threshold where they more than likely won't come back again. And for VIPs, you just want to track retention rate, purchase frequency. Are they still buying or have they churned? So the summary with this video is first-time buyers need onboarding, VIPs need space. Most brands get this backwards and send the same emails to everybody. Okay, segment these people properly and you'll turn way more one-time buyers into repeat customers. In the next video, I am going to be going over campaign strategy. What to send when you don't have a sale. So many brands fall down on this. They think that you have to do sales to send campaigns. I'm going to be covering campaign strategy,